Hello, my name's Ian, and I'm going to talk you through the ACT matrix, which is a great way to understand acceptance and commitment therapy. The first thing I'm going to talk about in the ACT matrix is behaviour. ACT is a behavioural model, and there are 3 reasons why this is important. The first reason is well illustrated by asking you which shoe you put on first today. When I ask people this, about 50% of people can remember what shoe they put on first, and 50% can't. It's a great example of autopilot behaviour. That behaviour that we just press play and do without even thinking. The majority of the time, autopilot behaviour is fine. But sometimes when we're doing something that's not particularly useful in our lives, we're a bit like a zombie. We're staggering around, not really noticing where we're going. And before we know it, we've crashed and burned. But then it's too late because we've crashed. So the ACT model really looks at the pause button, pressing pause and noticing what's important in life. Which nicely brings us on to the second reason why behaviour is important. So the second reason why behaviour is so important is because all behaviour takes you in one of 2 directions. It's going to either take you towards or away from what's important in life. Now, if you're like most people, if I asked you to tell me what's important in life, you'd probably say family, friends, work, hobbies. If you may even have a pet that's really important. And if we really stretch it, you might even remember that health is important, although it's a great example of autopilot behaviour. So we're going to come back to what's important a bit later. The third reason why behaviour is so important is because the vast majority of the time in life we're not really thinking about our behaviour. Instead, we're trapped in our thoughts, basically that we don't want. We're having feelings that we don't like. We're also experiencing body sensations that we don't like. And these thoughts, feelings, sensations that we don't like, when we put them together, are called not wants. Now, human beings are really clever, because if we experience something that we don't want, we work out a way of getting rid of them. And in this model, we call them Fixits. So there's a bit of a model for you. What we're going to do now is apply this model to a person that we're going to name Bob. Now, Bob is suffering from social anxiety. So let's see how this model could be applied to Bob with his social anxiety. Bob's just been invited to a party, and although he really wants to go, all sorts of things come up for him around it. So some of the thoughts that he may have around this might be, they won't like me, I can't talk to people. Bob's going to experience feelings of anxiety and scare at the prospect of going out, and he feels those in his body. He notices a tight chest and tension in his head. So what does Bob do? Well, he works out a way of preventing all of these feelings, and he stays in. And you know what we can say about staying in? It works. He no longer experiences those uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, or body sensations. The other thing that we notice about his strategy is long-term that it really doesn't work. It means that the next time he gets invited to a party, he's even less likely to go. The more and more Bob carries out his survival behaviour, the more and more stuck he feels. And in survival behaviour mode, what he hasn't noticed is what's important has just disappeared. The more he stays in, the less he sees his friends and family, the harder it is to go to work, and he becomes more and more disconnected with the things that are important to him. So how does ACT help? Well, ACT is all about doing what matters and moving towards what's important in your life. Along the way, you'll learn to manage your thoughts in a different way, and we call this diffusing. In ACT, it's about being willing to have your feelings rather than try to move away from them. And this creates an opportunity to connect with what's really important in your life and move towards a rich, fulfilling experience. For Bob, that might look like just going to the party even though he feels a bit anxious and nervous, and once he's there, maybe realising that it's not as bad as he thought it was and he actually has fun. He gets back into his life. If this sounds better to you than going round and round in your stuck circle, then ACT may be for you. Want to know more? Go to iantomlinson.co.uk/ACT and have a look at all of the different resources I've got there for you. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel.